They had 6 hours until the enemy arrived. Taiho spent the first hour walking through his farm. He looked at every building, every field, every path. He knew this land better than anyone. He had worked it for 8 years. He knew where the ground was soft and where it was hard. He knew where the shadows fell and where the sun always reached. When he came back inside, he had a plan. "The irrigation channels," he said, drawing lines on a piece of paper. "They are deep enough to hide in. We can use them as trenches. Here, here, and here." Roa looked at the map. "You want us to fight in ditches filled with water? The water is drained for winter. They are dry now." Taiho drew more lines. "The grain silo has a clear view of the main approach. Perfect for a sniper. Yuri, you will be there." Yuri's white ears perked up. "The human knows tactics. The human was an engineer in the colonial wars. I know how to build things. I also know how to destroy them." Taiho pointed to another spot. "The tractor. We push it here, on its side. It becomes a barricade. Metal body. Good cover." For the next 2 hours, they worked. The wolves followed Taiho's commands without question. They moved equipment. They dug positions. They set traps using farm tools and broken machinery from the crashed ship. Gia was especially happy about the traps. She loved explosions. Roa watched Taiho work. The gentle farmer was gone. In his place was something else. Something cold and efficient. Something that had killed before and would kill again. "You are different now," she said. Taiho did not look up from the wire he was connecting. "I am the same. I just show different parts of myself for different situations. This part of you. Does it scare you?" "Yes, every time." He finished the connection and stood up. "But being scared does not mean I stop. It means I am careful." When the sun rose, the enemy came. 3 dropships landed in the northern field, crushing what little wheat remained. Soldiers poured out. They were not Lycaner. They were a mix of species mercenaries from across the galaxy. Some were huge and covered in scales. Some were thin and fast with too many arms. All of them carried weapons. Their leader stepped forward. He was human. That surprised Taiho, a big man with scars on his face and cold eyes that showed nothing. "Lunar Fang," the man shouted. His voice carried across the field. "We know you are here. Come out now, and we will make it quick. Hide and we burn everything." In the irrigation ditch, Roa looked at Taiho. "Do you know him?" "No, but I know the type. He will burn everything anyway. Men like him do not keep promises." Roa nodded. "Then we fight." She howled. It was a sound that shook the air, a war cry that had terrified enemies for centuries. The other wolves howled with her, 13 voices rising together, filling the morning sky with the promise of blood. The enemy soldiers hesitated, just for a second. But a second was enough. Yuri fired from the grain silo. Her first shot took down a soldier. Her second took down another. By the third shot, the enemy was scrambling for cover. "Forward!" Roa shouted. The wolves burst from the irrigation channels like demons from the earth. Hera led the charge, her massive body crashing through enemy lines like a boulder through water. Nana was right behind her, her claws painting red across every enemy she touched. Hera appeared from nowhere, silent death in the shadows, but there were too many enemies. 30 against 13. The wolves were better fighters, but numbers matter in war. Taiho watched from his position near the farmhouse. He saw the battle turning. He saw Mary get hit by a plasma bolt and fall. He saw Bomi surrounded by 3 enemies. He saw Tommy frozen with fear again, unable to move. He raised his rifle and started shooting. He was not as good as Yuri. His shots were not perfect, but they were accurate enough. Enemy soldiers fell. 1, 2, 3. The one surrounding Bomi looked up, confused. And she killed them while they were distracted. The enemy leader saw Taiho. He smiled and started walking toward the farmhouse. His men cleared a path for him. "A farmer!" he shouted. "A human farmer with a toy gun. This is what defends the Lunar Fang." Taiho kept shooting. He hit 2 more enemies. Then his rifle made a sad sound and went dark. Tower cell empty. The enemy leader laughed. "No more shots? What will you do now, farmer? Plant vegetables at me?" Taiho looked at the man. Then he looked at the barn behind him. Then he pressed a button on his belt. The barn exploded. Not the whole barn. Just the fuel storage on the side nearest to the enemy. The blast knocked down a dozen soldiers and sent pieces of burning wood flying through the air. "I spent 8 years building this farm," Taiho said quietly. "I know where everything is, including the explosives." He pressed another button. A second explosion in the wheat field. A third near the landing ships. The enemy was in chaos. The wolves saw their chance and pushed harder. Roa fought her way toward the enemy leader, her silver fur stained with blood, her yellow eyes burning with fury. They met in the middle of the battlefield. "Surrender," Roa growled. "Your men are broken. Your ships are burning. It is over." The enemy leader looked around. She was right. His soldiers were running. The battle was lost. But he did not surrender. Instead, he raised his weapon toward the farmhouse. Toward Taiho. "If I die, the farmer dies with me." He fired. But Nana was faster. The red-furred wolf threw herself between the blast and Taiho. It hit her in the shoulder, spinning her around, dropping her to the ground. She screamed in pain. Taiho ran to her without thinking. He fell to his knees beside her, pressing his hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "Why?" he asked. "Why did you do that?" Nana looked up at him. Her yellow eyes were filled with pain, but also something else. Something that looked like peace. "You were right," she said, "about fear. It does not help." She tried to smile. "And someone needs to fix that tractor." Behind them, Roa killed the enemy leader with a single blow. His body fell to the ground, and with it, the last of the Iron Maw's will to fight. The survivors dropped their weapons and ran. Some made it to their ships. Most did not. The battle was over. Danny rushed to Nana's side. The wound was bad, but not fatal. Lycaner were tough. She would live. Taiho sat in the dirt, covered in blood and ash, his farm burning around him. The wheat field was gone. The barn was gone. The grain silo had holes in it. His tractor was flipped over and probably broken beyond repair. But his house was still standing. And so were the wolves. Roa came to stand next to him. "You saved us, again." Taiho looked at the destruction. "I destroyed my farm. Farms can be rebuilt. People cannot." She offered him her hand. "Come, you need rest." "We all do." He took her hand and stood up. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Human and wolf. Former enemies. Now something else. "Thank you," Roa said. "For everything." "You are welcome," Taiho said. "Now help me find my chickens." I think the explosion scared them. 6 months later, a ship descended through the atmosphere of Haru 7. It did not land in a military port or a city station. It landed in a wheat field that had recently been replanted. The door opened, and 13 wolves stepped out. They were cleaner now, better fed. Their armor was repaired, and their weapons were new. But they were the same pack. Roa looked at the farm. It had been rebuilt. The barn was new. The grain silo was fixed. The fields were green with young wheat. And the farmhouse had been expanded. A new wing extended to the east, with 13 rooms that had not been there before. A sign hung above the door. It was written in 2 languages. Korean on top, Lycaner below. Lunar Fang Farm. Tai-Ho stood on the porch, waiting. He looked the same as before. A little older maybe. A little more gray in his hair. But his eyes were the same. Calm. Warm. Unafraid. Roa walked toward him. For the first time since he had known her, she smiled. A real smile. Full and warm and happy. "We are home," she said. Tai-Ho nodded. "Dinner is almost ready. Gia, do not touch the stove." "I mean it this time." From somewhere in the group, Gia's voice. "You always say that." "Because you always burn things." The wolves laughed and pushed toward the door, eager to see their new home. Miri ran ahead, fully healed, her tail wagging. Hera ducked through the doorway, her big body barely fitting. Binna was already reading a book she had pulled from her bag. Yenna counted the rooms, making sure everything was in order. Nana stopped next to Tai-Ho. Her shoulder was scarred now, a permanent mark from the battle. She looked at him with eyes that no longer held anger. "Thank you," she said, "for giving us a place to belong." Tai-Ho smiled. "Thank you for crashing on my farm." She made that sound again, the one that might have been a giggle. Then she went inside. Roa was the last to enter. She paused at the door and looked back at the field where her ship had crashed all those months ago. So much had changed since then. They had come as strangers, as enemies, as wolves looking for shelter from a storm. They were leaving as something else. Family. "Are you coming?" Tai-Ho asked. Roa took one last look at the sky. Then she turned and walked through the door. "Yes," she said. "I am." Inside, the farmhouse was full of noise. Laughter and arguing and the smell of cooking food. Wolves crowded around the table, fighting for seats, complaining about who got the biggest portion. Tai-Ho moved through them like he had done it his whole life. Because in a galaxy full of predators, the most dangerous thing was not sharp teeth or superior firepower. It was a human who had decided you were family. And Kim. Tai-Ho had decided that the Lunar Fang Pack was his now, and he would protect them until his last breath. The storm did not stop. It was supposed to last 24 hours. Then 36. Then 48. Now, they were entering the third day, and the radiation levels outside were still deadly. The radio said it was the worst stellar scream in 50 years. Inside the farmhouse, 13 Wolf mercenaries and one human farmer tried to live together. Thought it was not easy. The wolves were not used to small spaces. They were fighters. They needed to move, to run, to hunt. Being trapped inside made them restless. They paced back and forth. They growled at each other. They argued about small things like who took the last piece of dried meat. Tai-Ho watched them from the kitchen. He was cooking breakfast. Real food, not military rations. Eggs from his chickens. Vegetables from his garden. Bread he had baked 2 days ago. The wolves had never eaten food like this. They gathered around the table and stared at the plates with wide eyes. "What is this?" asked Binna, the dark gray one. She was the pack strategist, always watching, always thinking. She poked the egg with her claw. "Eggs," said Tai-Ho. "From birds, chickens. You keep prey animals?" "Alive? Yes, they give eggs. And sometimes meat." The wolves looked at each other. This was strange to them. On their homeworld, food was hunted. You killed it or you did not eat. The idea of keeping animals and taking from them slowly was new. Miri, the youngest wolf, was the first to try the food. She put a piece of egg in her mouth and chewed. Her ears went straight up. Her tail started moving back and forth. "This is good," she said with her mouth full. "Roa, you have to try this." One by one, the wolves started eating. They were not polite about it. They ate with their hands, making loud noises, fighting over the best pieces. But they ate everything. Every plate was empty in minutes. Taiho started cooking more dot as the hours passed. The wolves began to explore the house. They touched everything. They smelled everything. Somi, the black-furred tech specialist, found Taiho's old tractor manual and spent 3 hours reading it. She could not believe that humans still used machines with wheels and engines. "Your people have starships," she said to Taiho. "Why do you use such old technology?" "Because it works," Taiho said. "Starships need computers. Computers can be broken by radiation. But a simple engine, it keeps working, no matter what." Somi thought about this for a long time. She looked at the other equipment in the house. The water pump that worked with a handle. The radio that used old-style circuits. The lights that could run on stored power for weeks. "You have backup systems," she said slowly. "For your backup systems?" "For your backup systems." "Yes, that is. Very human." Taiho smiled a little. "We learned a long time ago. The universe wants to kill us. We planned for it." On the second day, Taiho noticed something wrong with Donnie. The golden-furred medic was moving slowly. She was breathing hard. When she thought no one was watching, she touched her side and made a face of pain. Taiho walked over to her. "You are still hurt." Danny looked away. "It is nothing. Show me." "I am fine, human." Taiho did not move. He just waited. He was very good at waiting. Finally, Danny sighed and lifted her shirt. The wound Taiho had treated before was red and swelling. "It was infected. Why did you not say something?" Taiho asked. "I am the medic. I take care of others. Others do not take care of me." Taiho went to get his medical kit. "That is stupid." Danny's eyes went wide. No one talked to her like that. But before she could respond, Taiho was back with clean bandages and medicine. He worked quickly and carefully. His hands were gentle but sure. Danny watched him with confusion in her yellow eyes. "Why do you help me?" she asked. "I am Lycaner. Your people call us monsters, killers, beasts. My people say many stupid things, but I could kill you with one hand, in 1 second." Taiho finished wrapping the new bandage. "Can you kill me tomorrow?" "I am busy today." Danny stared at him. Then she made a sound that might have been a laugh. It was rough and strange, but it was a laugh. That night, the storm grew worse. The walls of the farmhouse shook. Lightning filled the sky outside, but it was not normal lightning. It was radiation, burning through the atmosphere, turning the air itself into poison. Anyone outside would die in minutes. Mary sat by the window and watched the storm. Her ears were flat against her head. Her hands were shaking. Taiho sat down next to her. "First time in a storm like this?" She nodded. "We are space wolves. We fight on ships and stations. We do not stay in one place. We do not wait." Her voice was small. "I do not like waiting. No one does. But sometimes waiting is all you can do. How do you do it? How do you live on a planet where the sky can kill you?" Taiho thought about this. "I do not think about the sky. I think about what I will do when the storm ends. I think about my crops, my animals, the work I need to do. I think about tomorrow, not today." Miri looked at him. "That is a strange way to think. Maybe, but it works." She was quiet for a while. Then she asked, "Why do you live alone? Where is your pack?" The question hurt, but Taiho did not show it. "I had a wife. She died. In the war, the colonial wars." "You were a soldier?" "An engineer. I built things, fixed things. But yes, I was in the war." Mary's ears moved forward. "You do not seem like a soldier." "I am not. Not anymore. When the war ended, I decided I wanted to grow things instead of destroy them. The other wolves had stopped what they were doing. They were all listening now. Roa stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, her yellow eyes fixed on Tejo. "The colonial wars," Roa said. "We fought in that war." On the other side, the room went very quiet. The wolves and the humans had been enemies. They had killed each other's people. The Lycaner mercenaries had fought for the corporations that wanted to control the colonies. Taiho's side had fought for freedom. Taiho looked at Roa. "I know. And you still help us?" "The war is over. I am tired of hate. It does not bring back the dead. It does not fix anything." He stood up and walked to the small shrine in the corner of the room. A photograph of a woman with kind eyes looked back at him. "My wife believed that people can change, that enemies can become friends. I try to believe it too." The wolves said nothing. They did not know how to respond. In their culture, enemies were enemies forever. Blood demanded blood. But this human was different. He had lost someone to the war, just like they had. But he chose peace instead of revenge. Later that night, the storm hit its worst point. The power flickered. The radiation shield strained. Warning lights started flashing red. "The roof sensors," Taiho said. "They are failing. If they go offline, the shields will not know when to adjust. We will cook." He went to a closet and pulled out an old radiation suit. It was worn and patched in many places. "What are you doing?" Roa demanded. "Going outside. To fix the sensors. You will die." "Maybe. But if I do not go, we will all die." He started putting on the suit. "The sensors are on the roof. It will take 5 minutes. Maybe 10. Nana stepped forward. "I will go. I am stronger. The suit will not fit you. It was made for humans." Taiho sealed the helmet. "Stay inside. Keep the doors closed. I will be back." He opened the door and stepped into hell. The radiation burned even through the suit. He could feel it on his skin like fire. The wind tried to throw him off his feet. The sky was purple and orange and black, all at the same time. Lightning struck the ground 20 meters away. Taiho climbed the ladder to the roof. His hands were shaking. His vision was blurry. But he found the sensor panel and opened it. The wires inside were burned. He pulled out his tools and started working. Inside the house, the wolves watched through the window. They could not believe what they were seeing. A human, a prey creature, was risking his life to save them. He was weak and small and fragile, and he was doing something none of them would do. "He is insane," Nana whispered. "No," Binna said. Her voice was strange. "He is human." 7 minutes later, the door opened. Taiho fell inside, his suit smoking, his breathing hard. But he was alive, and the warning lights had turned green. Roa helped him to the couch. She did not know why. She just did. "You almost died," she said. "For us." Taiho pulled off his helmet. His face was red from the radiation, but he was smiling a little. "I told you. You crashed on my land. You are my responsibility." He closed his eyes. "Now, please, let me sleep. And do not let Gia touch the stove while I am resting. She will burn down the house." From the kitchen, Gia's voice called out. I heard that, but even she was smiling. The second full day inside was the hardest. The wolves were hungry, not just for food, but for space, for freedom, for the feeling of wind on their fur and ground under their feet. They were hunters trapped in a cage, and it was making them dangerous. Nana paced back and forth near the door. Her red fur stood up on her neck. Her claws kept coming out and going back in. She looked at the walls like she wanted to tear them apart. "I cannot stay here," she growled. I cannot breathe. I need to get out. The storm will kill you, Binna said calmly. She was sitting in a corner, reading one of Taiho's books. You know this. Then maybe I want to die. At least I will die free. The other wolves watched nervously. When Nana got like this, bad things happened. She was the best close combat fighter in the pack, but she was also the most unstable. Her anger was like fire. It could burn anything. Taiho walked into the room. He had been checking the power systems in the basement. He looked at Nana, then at the others, then at the door. The storm will weaken in 12 hours, he said. If you can wait that long, you can go outside for a short time. Nana spun to face him. Her yellow eyes were wild. 12 hours? 12 hours. Do you know what 12 hours feels like for us? We are not like you, human. We do not sit and wait like prey. She stepped toward him. Her claws were out now, long and sharp and deadly. Some of the other wolves stood up, worried. Roa started to move, but Taiho raised his hand. Let her speak, he said. Nana got closer. She was almost a full meter taller than him. She looked down at his face with hate in her eyes. You think you are so brave, she said. So calm, so unafraid. But I see through you, human. You are weak. You are small. You could not fight me for 1 second. I could break your neck with 2 fingers. Taiho looked up at her. His face showed nothing. No fear. No anger. Nothing. Yes, he said. You could. Nana waited for him to say more. To fight back. To show fear. But he just stood there, looking at her with quiet eyes. Why? She demanded. Why are you not afraid? What is wrong with you? I have been afraid before, Taiho said. Many times. When I was young. When I was a soldier. When my wife was dying and I could not save her. His voice was soft but steady. I learned that fear does not help. It does not make you stronger. It does not solve problems. So I stopped letting it control me. Nana's claws trembled. She wanted to hurt him. She wanted to make him scream, make him beg, make him show that he was just like all the other weak creatures she had met. But she could not, because he was not like the others. You are insane, she whispered. Maybe, Taiho agreed. But I'm also the one with food. Are you hungry? He walked past her to the kitchen. Nana stood frozen, her claws still out, her anger slowly fading into confusion. Behind her, Binna made a sound that might have been a quiet laugh. Roa came to stand next to Nana. He beat you, she said. He did not touch me. He did not need to. Roa watched Taiho start cooking. He beat you with nothing but words and calm. That is more impressive than any fight. The food supplies were getting low. Taiho opened cabinets and storage boxes and counted what was left. He had planned for one person to survive for weeks. With 14 people, the math was very different. Yenna, the quartermaster, helped him count. Her brown fur was neat and clean, unlike the others. She liked things organized. You do not have enough, she said. Not for all of us. Not for the full storm. I know. Then why do you share? You could keep it for yourself. We could not stop you. Taiho thought about this. Because hungry soldiers make bad decisions. I need all of you thinking clearly if something goes wrong. Something will go wrong? Something always goes wrong. He was right. 3 hours later, the power core started screaming. The noise was terrible. A high, sharp sound that made the wolves cover their ears and howl in pain. Red lights filled every room. Warning messages flashed on every screen. What is happening? Roa shouted over the noise. Taiho ran to the basement. The others followed. What they saw was not good. The power core, a big cylinder of glowing energy in the center of the basement, was shaking. Electricity jumped from its surface like angry snakes. One of the containment rings had cracked. "Radiation surge," Taiho said. His voice was different now. Harder. Sharper. "The storm is stronger than the shields expected. The core is overloading. Can you fix it?" Roa asked. "Maybe, if I work fast." He turned to the wolves. "I need help, but you have to listen to me. Do exactly what I say, when I say it. No questions. No arguments. Can you do that?" The wolves looked at each other. Taking orders from a human? From a prey creature? But they had seen what happened when Taiho went outside in the storm. They had seen his calm in the face of Nana's rage. And now they saw something else in his eyes. Something cold and focused. Something dangerous. "Yes," Roa said. "We will follow your orders." Taiho nodded. Then he started giving commands. "Somi, I need you at the control panel. You will adjust the power flow when I tell you. Era, you are the strongest. I need you to hold this containment ring in place. It will be hot. It will hurt, but you must not let go. Benna, watch the temperature gauge. Tell me when it reaches red. Yuri, Era, go to the roof access. If I say run, you open that door and get everyone out, even if the storm is still bad. Understood?" They all moved. They did not question. They did not argue. They followed his commands like he was their alpha. Taiho worked with his hands inside the power core. Electricity burned his skin. Heat blistered his fingers. But he did not stop. He pulled wires and connected new ones. He adjusted pressure valves. He read numbers that only he understood. "Power flow down by 10%, he called. "Done," Somi answered. "Temperature?" "Yellow and rising," Binna said. "Hara, how are you?" The big brown wolf was holding the cracked ring with both hands. Her fur was smoking. Her teeth were clenched so hard they might break. But she did not let go. "I am fine," she growled. "Keep working." Tommy, the young rookie, was standing in the corner. Her gray fur was shaking. Her eyes were wide. She was trying to breathe, but the air would not come. Her chest felt tight. Her heart was beating too fast. She was having a panic attack. Taiho noticed. In the middle of the crisis, with electricity burning his hands and the power core screaming, he noticed. He turned to Danny. "Take care of her, now." Danny ran to Tommy. But the young wolf was frozen. She could not hear. She could not see. She was lost in her own fear. Taiho made a decision. He stepped away from the power core, walked to Tommy, and took her hand. His burned fingers held her furred ones gently. "Tommy, look at me." She could not. Her eyes were seeing something far away. Something terrible. "Tommy, listen to my voice. We are on a farm. On Hara 7, there are chickens outside. And wheat fields, except I need to replant 3 acres because someone crashed a ship on them." A small flicker in her eyes. She was listening. "When the storm ends, I'm going to plant new wheat. Do you want to help me? I have never had wolf helpers before. You will probably be very bad at it. Your claws will tear a thing. It will be a disaster." Tommy blinked. Her breathing slowed, just a little. "But disasters can be fun sometimes. And I make good food. You like the eggs, yes? I can teach you how to cook eggs. It is easy. Even Gia can almost do it." From across the room, Gia's voice. "I heard that too." Tommy laughed. It was small and broken, but it was a laugh. Her panic started to fade. "Good," Taiho said. "Now sit here with Danny. I need to save everyone's lives. I will be right back." He returned to the power core. 30 seconds later, he made the final adjustment. The screening stopped. The red lights turned green. The core settled into a quiet hum. Everyone was quiet for a long moment. Then Roa spoke. "You saved us. Again." Taiho looked at his burned hands. They were shaking now. The calm was fading, and he was just a tired man in pain. "The core is stable," he said. "But that was close. If we had waited 2 more minutes, it would have exploded." "How did you know what to do?" Bing asked. "This technology is advanced. Human colony tech. You fixed it like you built it yourself." Taiho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I told you. I was an engineer in the war. I built things." He looked at the power core. "I built things that killed a lot of people. Power cores like this one, but for weapons. I know how they work. I know how they break." He turned away. "I know everything about them. And I hate that I know." The wolves watched him walk upstairs alone. They did not follow. Later, Roa found Bina looking at a datapad. She was reading about human history, about the colonial wars, about what humans had done to win. "They are persistent predators," Bina said quietly. "That is how they hunt. They do not stop, ever. They follow their prey for days, weeks, until it falls from exhaustion." She looked up at Roa. "We have been fighting the wrong species." Roa thought about the burned hands, the quiet voice, the calm eyes that had seen so much death. "The galaxy is lucky," she said. "Lucky that humans like him prefer farming to conquest." Bina nodded slowly. "Very lucky indeed." Kim Taiho sat on his wooden porch and watched the sky turn orange. The warning sirens had started 2 hours ago, but he did not move. He held a cup of warm tea in his hands and listened to the wind. A big solar storm was coming. The colony called it a stellar scream. It would hit the planet in 6 hours. Most people in the colony had already gone underground. The bunkers in the main city were filling up with families and their belongings. But Taiho stayed on his farm. He had animals to protect. He had crops to save. His farmhouse was built strong, with thick walls and radiation shields. He had survived storms before. He would survive this one too. Taiho was 34 years old. He had dark hair with some gray in it, and his hands were rough from years of working the land. He had been a military engineer once during the colonial wars. He had seen death and fire and things he wanted to forget. When the war ended, he came to this quiet planet called Haru 7. He built a farm. He married a woman he loved. And then she died, and he was alone. He finished his tea and stood up. There was work to do. He needed to bring the animals inside and seal the doors. He walked toward the barn, but then he stopped. Something was wrong. The sky was not just orange anymore. There was a line of fire cutting through the clouds. Something was falling. Taiho watched as a ship broke through the atmosphere. It was not falling in a controlled way. It was spinning, burning, crashing. Black smoke followed it like a dark ribbon. The ship flew over his house and hit the ground in his northern wheat field. The explosion shook the earth under his feet. He stood there for a long moment. 3 acres of wheat were on fire. He thought about the insurance papers in his desk. Then he started walking toward the crash. The ship was broken in many places. It was a military dropship, painted black with strange symbols on the side. Not human symbols. Alien. Taiho had seen many alien species during the war, but he did not recognize these marks. He stopped about 50 meters away and waited. The side door of the ship opened with a loud screech. Smoke poured out. And then they came. The first one was tall. Very tall. Maybe 2.5 meters. She walked on 2 legs like a human, but she was covered in silver fur. Her face was like a wolf, with a long nose and sharp ears. Her eyes were yellow and cold. She wore black armor with weapons attached to every part of her body. Scars covered her arms and face. Behind her came more. 12 more. All of them were wolf-like aliens, all female, all armed. Some had gray fur, some brown, some black. One had red fur and looked very angry. Another was small and moved like a shadow. They spread out around the crash site, checking their weapons, looking for threats. Taiho did not run. He did not hide. He just stood there and watched them. The silver one saw him. She raised her hand, and the others stopped moving. She walked toward him slowly, her yellow eyes never leaving his face. When she was close enough, Taiho could smell smoke and blood on her dot. She spoke. Her voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. She spoke in Galactic Common, a language Taiho had learned during the war. "Human, this is your land?" Taiho nodded. "Yes, we need shelter. The storm will kill us if we stay outside." Taiho looked at the burning wheat field behind her. Then he looked at the 13 armed aliens in front of him. Any normal person would be afraid. These were Lycaner, wolf warriors, known across the galaxy as some of the most dangerous fighters alive. One of them could kill him in seconds, but Taiho had stopped being afraid a long time ago. Fear did not help. It never did. "Is anyone hurt?" he asked. The silver one blinked. This was not the response she expected. "What?" "Hurt. Injured. Do any of you need medical attention?" For a moment, the silver one said nothing. Then she turned and looked at her pack. A golden-furred one in the back was holding her side. Blood was leaking between her fingers. "Danny is wounded," the silver one said. Taiho nodded. "Bring her inside. I have medical supplies." He turned and started walking toward his farmhouse. Behind him, he heard confused voices. The wolves were talking to each other in their own language. It sounded like growling and barking. He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. They were confused. They did not know what to do with a human who was not afraid. The red-furred one pushed forward. She was shorter than the others, but looked twice as angry. "Roa," she said to the silver one, "why are we following this prey creature? We should just take his shelter. He cannot stop us." Roa, that must be the silver one's name. The leader. The alpha. Roa turned and looked at the red one. Her voice was cold. "Nana, we have a code. We do not take from those who offer freely." Nana growled but said nothing more. They followed Taiho to the farmhouse. 13 wolf warriors walked behind one human farmer. Some of them kept their hands on their weapons. Some of them looked at the farm with curious eyes. The small one moved without making any sound. Taiho opened the door and stepped inside. His home was warm and simple. Wooden floors. A kitchen with real fire for cooking. Plants in pots by the windows. Pictures on the walls. A couch with soft blankets. It did not look like a military building. It did not look like anything the wolves had seen before from humans. "There is space in the main room," Taiho said. "The basement has extra beds if you need them. The radiation shields will protect us when the storm hits." Roa stepped inside and looked around. Her yellow eyes moved over everything. The pictures. The plants. The small shrine in the corner with flowers and a woman's photograph. "You live alone?" she asked. "Yes. Why do you help us?" "You do not know us. We could kill you easily." Taiho walked to the kitchen and started preparing more tea. "You crashed on my land. That makes you my responsibility? And the storm will hit in 4 hours. We do not have time for fighting." He looked at her over his shoulder. "Also, I do not think you will kill me." "Why not?" "Because you have a code. You said it yourself." Roa stared at him for a long time. Then something strange happened. The corner of her mouth moved up. Just a little. Almost like a smile. "You are strange, human. My name is Taiho. I am Roa, Alpha of the Lunar Fang Pack." She turned to her warriors. Everyone inside, now, and do not break anything." The wolves entered the farmhouse one by one. They were too big for the doorway and had to duck. They looked at everything with wide eyes. The youngest one, a gray-furred girl, reached out to touch a flower. An older one slapped her hand away. Gani, the wounded one, was brought in last. Taiho pointed to the couch. "Put her there. I will get my medical kit." As he gathered bandages and medicine, the storm outside grew stronger. The sky turned from orange to purple to black. The wind started to scream. In 2 hours, the radiation would come. Nothing outside would survive, but inside, a human farmer was cleaning an alien's wound while 13 wolf warriors watched in silence. None of them understood what was happening. None of them had ever met a human like this. When the first radiation waves hit, Taiho sealed the final door. The house shook but held strong. He turned to his strange guests and asked the question that confused them most of all. Would anyone like some tea? The storm was finally dying. The purple sky was turning blue again. The radiation levels were dropping hour by hour. Soon they would be able to go outside. But something had changed inside the farmhouse. The wolves did not pace anymore. They did not growl at each other. They sat together, talking quietly, watching the human who had saved their lives twice. Taiho's hands were wrapped in bandages. Donnie had treated the burns, using medicine from his own supplies and some Lycanar healing gel from her pack. The combination worked better than either one alone. His fingers would heal without scars. On the morning of the last day, Roa found Taiho sitting by the window. He was looking at his fields. The wheat was destroyed, but the rest of the farm had survived. His animals were safe in the barn. His house was still standing. She sat down next to him. For a while, neither of them spoke. "I need to tell you something," Roa finally said. "About my pack. About why we are here." Taiho waited. "Our homeworld was destroyed 15 years ago. A corporation wanted the minerals under our cities. They asked us to leave. We refused. So they dropped bombs from orbit until nothing was left." Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. 60 million Lycanar died. My mother, my sisters, my entire family. Taiho said nothing. He just listened. The survivors scattered across the galaxy. Some found new homes. Some died alone on cold stations. And some of us became mercenaries. We fight for money. We take contracts from anyone who will pay. And we send that money back to our people, to the refugees, to the children who have never seen our homeworld. That is why you fight, Taiho said. Not for blood, for family. Roa nodded. We have killed many people, done many terrible things. But every credit we earn goes to someone who needs it more than we do. Taiho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "When the storm ends, I will sell my harvest. It will be smaller this year because of the crash, but I will give you half of the profits." Roa's head snapped toward him. "What? No, we cannot accept that. It is not charity. It is payment. Payment for what? You promised to help fix my tractor. That was our deal. Half my harvest is a fair price for skilled labor." Roa stared at him. Her yellow eyes were wide with something that looked like confusion. Or maybe gratitude. She was not used to either feeling. "You are very strange, human. Taiho. You are very strange, Taiho." In the kitchen, Bomi was teaching Taiho some words in Lycanar. She was the communications officer, and she spoke 47 languages, including Korean. But teaching Korean to Lycanar was easier than teaching Lycanar to a human. "The problem is your throat," Bomi said. Her cream-colored fur moved as she talked. Lycanar language uses sounds from deep inside the chest. Growling, barking, howling, Human throats cannot make these sounds properly. Let me try. Taiho said. He attempted the word for friend. What came out sounded like a sick cat trying to cough up a hairball. The wolves in the room burst into laughter. Real laughter. Loud and rough and full of joy. Even Nana, who had not smiled once since the crash, made a sound that might have been a giggle. That was terrible, Bomi said, wiping tears from her eyes. Truly the worst thing I have ever heard. What did I actually say? I think you asked to eat my grandmother's feet. It is hard to tell. More laughter. Taiho smiled too. It felt good to hear happiness in his house again. It had been too quiet for too long. In the corner of the main room, Era sat alone. She was the smallest wolf in the pack, with dark fur that seemed to absorb light. She was the infiltration specialist, the spy, the shadow. In 3 days, she had spoken maybe 10 words. Now, she walked over to Taiho and stood in front of him. He looked up at her and waited. I was ordered to scout your home, she said. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. When we first crashed, Roa told me to check for threats, to see if you were dangerous. And what did you find? Pictures of a woman, a garden she used to tend, books with her notes in the margins, clothes in a closet that you never moved. Era tilted her head. You are not a threat. You are a man who is still in love with his dead wife. Taiho felt the old pain, but it was softer now. Less sharp. Yes. How do you live with it? The loss? I do not know. I just do. One day at a time. I work. I grow things. I remember her. He looked at the shrine with the photograph. And I try to be the man she thought I was. Era was quiet for a moment. Then she said, You are strange, human. So I have been told. Later that afternoon, Hera approached Taiho. The big brown wolf had been watching him all day, wanting to ask something but not knowing how. Human, Taiho, I have a question. Ask? How do your people deal with death? With loss? Taiho led her to the small shrine in the corner. It was simple. A shelf with a photograph, some dried flowers, a candle that had burned down to nothing, and a small bowl of rice that he replaced every day. This is for my wife, he said. Her name was Soyen. She was a doctor. She helped people. When she died, I built this shrine so I could still talk to her. You talk to her? But she is dead. Yes, but talking helps me remember her. And remembering keeps her alive, in a way. In my heart. Hera looked at the shrine for a long time. Then, slowly, she knelt down. It was a gesture of respect in both their cultures. She must have been a good person, Hera said. To be loved like this. She was the best person I ever knew. They stayed there in silence for a while. A wolf warrior and a human farmer, sharing a moment of understanding that needed no words. As the sun set on the final day, the wolves began to realize something uncomfortable. They did not want to leave. Miri sat on the couch, surrounded by books she had been reading. Gia had taken over the kitchen and was trying to cook dinner without burning anything. Somi was still studying the old tractor manual, amazed by the simple genius of human machines. Even Nana had found a spot by the fire and was sleeping peacefully for the first time in days. Roa watched her pack and felt something strange in her chest. They had found many shelters during their years as mercenaries. Cold stations, military bunkers, abandoned buildings. None of them had ever felt like this. None of them had ever felt like home. She found Taiho on the porch, watching the last of the storm clouds disappear. The radiation is almost gone, she said. We can leave tomorrow. You are welcome to stay longer. I have space. Roa shook her head. We have contracts, enemies, business. We cannot stay in one place for long. She paused. But we will remember this. What you did for us. Taiho nodded. And you are welcome back. Whenever you are in this sector, my farm is open to you. All of you. Roa did not know how to respond to that. No one had ever offered her a place to return to, a place to call home. I do not understand you, she said quietly. We were enemies. We could have killed you. We ate your food. We used your medicine. We broke your wheat field. And you ask us to come back? Taiho looked at her with his calm eyes. You crashed on my land. You needed help. I helped. That is all. But why? Because that is what humans do. At least the good ones. We find people who need help, and we help them. We build families from strangers. We make homes in empty places. He smiled a little. We are very stubborn that way. Roa felt something shift inside her. Something that had been hard for a long time was becoming soft. She did not like it. But she did not hate it either. We will come back, she said. When we can. I do not know when. But we will come back. I will be here. That night, they all ate together. Gia had managed to cook something that was not burned, and everyone pretended it was delicious. They told stories about battles they had fought and places they had seen. Taiho told them about his wife, about the war, about why he chose to become a farmer. For one night, they were not wolves and human. They were just people, sharing food and warmth and laughter. Then the alarm went off. Somi jumped up and ran to the communications console. Her face went pale under her black fur. We have a ship entering orbit, she said. Military configuration. Broadcasting Iron Maw identification codes. The room went cold. Iron Maw. Rowan knew that name. Everyone knew that name. Who are they? Taiho asked. A rival mercenary company, Bina said. We took a contract from one of their enemies. They have been hunting us for weeks. That is why we crashed here. They shot us down. And now they have found us, Roa said. Her voice was hard again. The softness was gone. They will land by morning. 30 soldiers. Maybe more. They will kill us. And they will kill anyone who helped us. She looked at Taiho with sorrow in her eyes. I am sorry. We brought death to your home. Taiho was quiet for a moment. He looked at the window, at his farm, at the dark sky where enemy ships were descending. Then he walked to the fireplace and reached up above it. His hands found something hidden there, something wrapped in cloth. He pulled it down and unwrapped it. It was a rifle, old but well-maintained, a weapon from the colonial wars. Then we fight, he said. Roa stared at him. You should evacuate. This is not your battle. Taiho checked the rifle's power cell. It hummed with energy. This is my home. You are my guests. That makes it my battle. He looked at her with calm eyes. You fought for money. I will fight for what is mine. Which of us do you think will stop first? Roa had no answer, but she felt something new in her chest. Something warm, hope.